podcast.
That's right. We have no sound effects, or at least we can't hear them. Anyways, you know what it is. This is Touchdowns and Tangents, your Thursday night spot for NFL news, topical takes, tangents, and context for the culture. I'm Pete D. Camarillo.
I'm Kenneth Frank James. We're going to get right to the shits.
Yeah, man. Shout out to the Good News radio station, our live home, who actually awarded us the It Factor Award. So, cue the applause real quick. Yeah, man. Shout out to that. You can also catch us on FBC Radio, X Squad Affiliates, X Squad Radio, and every other major podcast app. And yeah, fuck Spotify. But yeah, get to the shits, KB.
Well, first things first, our sound effects can be heard. We just can't hear them. So that's good. Second, this has been another petty week in the NFL.
Because we're literally watching the white supremacist bowl right now between the Colts and the Patriots.
The New England Patriots versus the Indianapolis Colts. By the way, the
winner gets a white hoodie.
Oh.
Bruh.
Wow. I can't believe you just said that. Damn.
You can't believe it because you're so proud of me? Or
like, the pettiness is finally growing within you.
Just like, because I've had a long day talking to a lot of people, and I stayed up way too late watching Coco last night, which was actually a pretty dope movie.
Yeah. And shout out
to my culture.
Shout out to Pascal, the receiver for the Colts, who is just shitting the bed right now. Like, literally just costing the Colts a game. But anyway. Yeah, by the way, the Ku Klux Klan was birthed in Indiana, in case you didn't know.
He's contractually obligated to mention that anytime he says the word Indiana.
Yeah. Sponsored by the, how should I say this? With the express written consent of Major League Baseball and all its contemporaries. Fuck the Red Sox. Oh, and shout out to Mike Scioscia stepping down as the Los Angeles Angels head coach. I don't know baseball. Fuck you. I don't know baseball without Mike Scioscia.
I just mean, like, finally, like, I'm glad he stepped away so he didn't have to get fired, because he was probably going to get fired. It was probably time. I'd rather see him leave admirably than be shown the door. Out. Yeah, pretty much.
That is true. Man, it's really just sucky because, like, they've never put a team around. Sure, the Orioles will
hire him or some shit.
Nah, he's done. He was a former Dodger. Like, I love him because, like, the dude beat the Giants, and, like, I don't know any self-respecting person who is a San Francisco Giants fan, mostly because I don't associate with people like that. Oh, yeah, the Giants are trash. This isn't a football podcast. This is a football podcast, and yeah, we're talking baseball. But,
Wait. This is a football podcast? I'm sorry. I didn't know.
This is a football podcast about sports, life, and everything in between.
Hey, turn up. Snaps to that.
We are, we're that barbershop. We're like a black barbershop, and, like, the tamale man can come in. Like,
okay, you're reaching. Get to the shit. I'm over it. But let's just bury this metaphor before you kill it worse.
Yeah, that's true. Kind of like Andrew Luck just got killed just now. But anyway, when it comes to NFL news,
you realize in, like, 3 weeks we're not going to be able to give live Thursday night football updates because my Amazon Prime free trial is going to expire. So,
well, don't worry.
Don't get used to it. That's all I'm saying. We literally don't do this.
Courtesy of the Touchdowns and Tangents, go 73 deep.
Pause.
Fantasy football team, which is 3-1, should be 4-0, but, you know, shit happens. And I had Deshaun Jackson on my bench when he scored 31 points. Oops. But anyway.
Nobody cares about your fantasy team, bro. Like, literally, not one single person.
I care, and I know Odell's going to have a big game eventually. Like, eventually.
I've literally told myself that the past 2 seasons.
Well, I drafted him with one of my first 2 picks. And Devontae Freeman, who's been a bust for me, as well as Derrick Henry, they're both just on my bench, and I'm just like, I could have had Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs, and I drafted y'all. Fucking trash.
You know my thoughts on Minnesota receiver, so let's move on.
They're actually good. Like they're like top 5 in receiving. But NFL teams, do you want to get straight into this Le'Veon Bell situation?
Go for it. Break it down.
Okay. So aside from the Steelers imploding and being the best thing on TV, the most, like honestly, I think Love and Hip Hop in VH1 should just get a show with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're the best reality show on TV. Like, word is bond. They really are.
I was low-key hoping the Raiders would lose last week so that the Raiders tickets would get even cheaper. Like, before the season, they were like $180. Now they're like $75.
The Raiders are going to have to be on Hard Knocks next year. By the way, Jordy Nelson's also my fantasy team. I really don't know if I should start him or not this week. It's either him or Jameson Crowder.
One more again. Nobody cares about your fantasy team. Can we cancel your fantasy team?
No, the fuck we are not.
Can we blacklist your fantasy team from the...
I've been blackballed before. That doesn't work. I'm not
my
going
God.
anywhere.
Here we go.
Second. Hey, you brought it up. But anyway, Le'Veon Bell's going to report Week 7 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Nobody sees a problem with that, right? It's all good. He's finally reporting. Guess what? Week 7 is the Steelers' bye week. This man is like doing everything. Like NFL players.
It's like working Monday through Friday and showing up on Saturday.
No, that's like calling off and using 4 days of your sick hours because you never use your sick hours, and then on payday you show up to get your check, which is also your off day. Like, seriously, Le'Veon Bell and Vontae Davis are doing everything I plan and dream of doing when I quit one of my jobs. Like, shout out to both those guys.
And Earl Thomas is doing what you're going to do when you have to quit a job.
Who?
Earl Thomas.
That's not funny, man. Earl Thomas flicked off.
Finish your Le'Veon Bell situation, then we'll get to Earl Thomas.
Because I'm all about giving people the middle finger. Anyway. Yeah, so...
I'm going to turn this game off because you keep losing your point. You literally
it's a trash game.
You literally can't multitask.
No, I'm tired of watching the Colts play football is literally like watching a high school team that you know sucks go up against modern day.
Why don't the Colts change their uniforms? Let's talk about it. Is that Eli Rogers? Like,
no, it's another guy.
Oh, I was gonna say like the Colts don't have enough receivers without hands.
And he's another Rogers who was also in a fraternity. Yeah. No, like literally, Eli Rogers I think was in a fraternity too. It's weird. All the Rogers. Carlos Rogers maybe have been. No, Carlos Rogers probably was in a fraternity. He just smoked a lot of weed.
Okay, finish your Le'Veon Bell point, please.
Shout out, but by the way, speaking of Michigan State players who like to smoke weed, Le'Veon Bell and, Carlos Rogers, former second overall pick for the Detroit Lions, was like 6'3", around a 4.3 40, and smoked himself out of the league. But unlike Carlos, whatever the hell his name is, Le'Veon Bell actually.
You mean Charles?
Oh, Charles Rogers. My bad. I thought it was Carlos Rogers. Charles Rogers. Whatever. Madden called him Carlos one year.
Isn't Carlos Rogers the
Oh, wait, no, that's the cornerback who played for Auburn.
Yeah, that's why I was confused.
See,
yeah.
everyone named
and
Rogers
he played for the Raiders
trash.
and he was trash.
Everyone who's usually
he wasn't trash for the Redskins. He was trash with the Raiders.
He was trash with the Redskins at the end too. He was at his best with Auburn. That's why his draft stock was so high. But anyway, you got Le'Veon Bell coming back.
And Charles Rogers went to Michigan, not Michigan State.
No, Charles Rogers did not go to Michigan. He went to Michigan State. I will bet money on that right now. Google that shit so you can look stupid and sound stupid. But anyway, so his offensive line said they'll welcome him back.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Bruh.
Stop breathing into the damn mic so much.
No, actually, there's sound effects playing, and I'm just enjoying it. Told you. But anyway, so Le'Veon, the offensive line said they're going to welcome him back, but honestly, at this point, I feel like that's just a burnt bridge. Like, they want to trade him. Honestly, Philly might be the best spot because they want a second-round pick and a good player back. And they could probably get a Jay Yahi. They could probably throw in a receiver, maybe a defensive lineman, like a corner, because we all know.
That's like the Raiders trading with the 49ers.
They've done it before. Yeah, they've done it before. That look on your face, shock and awe. They've done it before. All I know is, man, this LeVeon situation, there's no way he can come back and play. There's no way he can come back and play for the Steelers and it's going to be all good after what the offensive line did, how they acted. By the way, the last thing, wow, Pete's really Googling the Niners and the Raiders, the Niners trying to trade for Khalil Mack. That shit is hilarious. But anyway, when it comes to the Steelers, they're going to have to move them. Their defense is terrible. Their defense is just god-awful. And it's embarrassing at this point. Like, Le'Veon Bell clearly isn't the problem. It's the fact that they should just switch to a 4-3 and just focus on getting corners and linebackers. Bud Dupree's all right. TJ Watt's solid. Vince Williams, he's good. He had 8 sacks last year, but he was a 3-4 inside linebacker, and they blitzed him a lot. So that helps. But I wouldn't say he'd be a full-time starter anywhere else. But anyway, yeah, the Eagles are honestly probably the favorite spot.
Yeah, you're right. They sent Brandon Boykin to the Steelers in 2015.
And I'm the one who said it on this podcast that the Eagles traded Brandon Boykin to the Steelers. I remember when that happened. I talked about it. I was like, the Raiders should have traded for Brandon Boykin. At one point, Brandon Boykin was like the number 1 slot corner in the league for like 3 years, and he was really good at Georgia, but they didn't take him. So,
but then he was ass. When
then
he
was
went to
ass.
Steelers.
It's like you go to the Steelers and become a defensive back, and you just lose all your powers.
Maybe it's Mike Tomlin.
Nah, maybe it's Keith Butler, the defensive coordinator. Maybe it's the fact
Can we just trade John Gruden for Mike Tomlin and call it a day?
I would actually be with that trade, but then he would fuck up the Steelers so bad that the Roonies would put a hit on him.
Wow.
The Roonies aren't letting that shit go down. A 10-year, $100 million contract, even though essentially that's what all the Steelers have only had like 5 coaches. Like in their history. It was Tomlin, it was Cowher, I think Chuck Knox, Chuck Noll. I don't know who else. I can't even, honestly, the fact that I said Chuck Knox, I'm shocked. Like, I guess we can Google that or send up an invoice to legal if you want, Pete. I don't know. But let's talk about it. But no, to close out this whole segment, pretty much the Steelers are just a shit show. Like how they did Troy Polamalu at the end was disgusting. The Martavis Bryant situation. Like
I'm literally gonna drop this TV because you're just like you're not focused. Like, why would you bring up Troy Polamalu other than you saw him on my Google search?
Because
nobody cares about Troy Polamalu.
No, they do. But the thing is, like, the Steelers have like a history recently of just messing everything up, and it's kind of sad to like see somebody you have the utmost respect for just turn to shit.
Like Casey Hampton.
Wow, why you got to bring up Casey Hampton? First off, Casey Hampton was a fat Texas nose tackle.
Do you know any nose tackles that fell off harder than Casey Hampton?
He played at Texas, and that's all he could do. He bottomed out. Why you got to shit on that man? Jason Hargrove is more athletic anyway. Way more athletic. But anyway, on to other situations.
Say but anyway one more time.
I mean, say at the end of the day one more time.
I haven't even said at the end of the day in a minute.
You just did, bitch.
Okay, stop.
Yeah.
All right, the Steelers are a shit show, and we don't blame Le'Veon Bell for leaving. Next.
And he's probably going to end up in Philly.
Next,
he's probably not going to leave the state. He might end up with the Jets since they have, I think, a bunch of cap space. That actually might happen. He could end up with the Jets, and they get Isaiah Crowell or some crazy shit happens.
Nobody cares about the Jets.
Or maybe even the Vikings.